Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Rangers Review morning briefing for Friday, the 4th of November. I'm Derek Clark, and I'm joined by a full squad this morning. Firstly, we've got Adam Thornton. How are we getting on, Adam?
Not too bad, thank you, Derek. Nice wee happy Friday. All good here.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. And Graeme, Hanna as well. How are we doing, Graeme?
Morning, Derek. Almost ready to aboard the Rangers roller coaster once again.
Yeah, absolutely. You boys met each other at the District Bar, was it, last weekend after the Aberdeen game? Frequenting with Mick Beale. I seen your picture with him, Adam. You must have been like chuffed to bits to see your idol in and around Ibrox.
Just quite happy that you recognised me. To be honest, that would have been the most unembarrassing thing. But yeah, I was in. I think he was in the Loudon before it, wasn't he? And then we were in hospitality, so I bumped into him in there, and then bizarrely he was in the District getting swamped for a couple of hours after the game. So yeah, it was a bit surreal, but all good. Lovely guy.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, let's talk Rangers, gents. That's why people are tuning in, of course. Match at the weekend, huge game. 3 games in the space of 6 days for Rangers before the break for the World Cup. I wanted to get your take, first of all, Graeme. I spoke to Johnny yesterday and we're discussing why Giovanni Van Bronckhorst really needs to win these 3 matches. They're must win, really, I feel, for to keep him in a job, pretty much. He's under a bit of pressure at the moment. Would you go along with those sentiments?
Absolutely. There's no margin for error now. It was heading back through to West Lothian after the game midweek. I was staying with the in-laws last week, and it was just a sense of deflation for me. Aberdeen last week, a wee bit of a bounce, a bit of a feel-good factor. Almost as expected, that came to a shuddering halt in the week. The team was very depleted. It was a bit flat. The early goal just killed any real hope. And, it was a case of talking about the goal difference, 0 points and everything else. So the dial changes again somewhat, but no, absolutely. 3 games, it has to be 9 points. The pressure's on. The pressure's going to stay on. We all know the dynamic that's in play here overall with Gio and the outlook. So no, it's the team need to get going again. McDermott Park can be a stuffy place to go and play. At times we haven't, always been sparkling in our last visits there in recent seasons. So I'm a bit apprehensive about Sunday, to say the least.
Yeah, Adam. Last Saturday, everyone was on a bit of a high. You could say it was arguably one of the best performances domestically under Giovanni Van Bronckhorst. However, the Tuesday night sort of dampened the spirits once again, as the last 6 matches in the Champions League have done. Rangers head into this game at McDermott Park, as Graeme says, it's sometimes a tricky place to go. Do you feel that? Van Bronckhorst generally does get a bounce from the team, doesn't he, after these poor European results? How do you see it going on Sunday?
I guess it really depends on who we've got available. I completely agree with what you're saying. There's zero margin for error. We really need 3 wins from these 3 games. But I think to hark back again, more importantly, it very much needs to be style as well. We need to get going, which again can be difficult with injuries, etc. But I think the fact that people were so happy with Aberdeen was because of the way we went about it. It wasn't just getting a win by any means necessary. It gave people a wee bit of hope that that's the sort of approach that we can take to, let's be honest, 90% of domestic games. So these 3 games that we've got coming up, I think absolutely we need to go and imprint that style on them. It needs to be more Aberdeen and less Livingston, I think, for these 3, as well as absolutely fundamental being the 3 wins. Depending on injuries, etc., we can use that. I think it's a valid excuse, to be honest, in the Champions League against Ajax. But in these 3 games coming up, I'm not sure we'll really get away with that when we think about the financial difference that we've got with these 3 teams coming up. So I think injuries are a bit of an issue, but I don't think there can be anything there that we can use for these 3 games.
Yeah, how big a concern is that Graeme? I'm thinking defensively, it was Rangers won't come up against a team like Ajax, the calibre of their quality again this season. But defensively, I'd be concerned if Ben Davies doesn't come back in for Sunday. That's nothing against Leon King and James Sands. I just feel that it's another brand new defensive partnership. And for me, St Johnstone, that is an area of the pitch that they'll clearly target.
Yes, in one of my articles on the site last week, Derek, I touched on the word cohesion.
Yeah.
To an extent, Gio's been, some would say, unlucky in that, for example, last week against Aberdeen, there was the wee change with Sands and Lundstrom in midfield. Lundstrom was given more of a license to go forward, maybe as more of an 8. Sands looked good in that almost destroyer role. Then that's out the window for week, possibly also for Sunday. We don't know who's available just now. It's this afternoon with the press conference. It's almost a case of taking responsibility. No one's expecting 10 out of 10 performances, but can the players stand up? Can they win their individual battles? Bit of a cliche, but are they going to take things by the scruff and do what they need to do? Get the win, get through it. It's the questions keep coming. The challenges aren't stopping at the moment. This is a big test psychologically as well. For the likes of Leon King, who's doing very well, playing a wee bit more than he should be just now. And how will he react game by game, and also going forward, to the months ahead. But the bottom line is the answers need to be found in the dressing room, and the buck stops with Gio.
Yeah. Are you concerned a wee bit, Adam? I mean, we all know that the worst team in Champions League history tag and what have you after Tuesday night. Are you concerned about the mentality going into not only Sunday, but Hearts, of course, in midweek, and then wrapping up with St Mirren? Are you slightly concerned that might seep into the domestic performances?
Not really, no, because I think we've shown over this calendar year that, for better or worse, depending on what we do in Europe, it really bears little significance to the league. You think of the highs of the tail end of last year, and we were coming home and getting through league games or dropping stupid points after beating Dortmund, etc. So I don't really think it will make too much of a difference. I think, to be honest, that, and you can maybe speak about mentality here, I'm sure the players will probably be quite glad of no more Champions League football for the next 6 months or so, just so that they can sort of focus. I know, yeah, everyone is, yeah, just so they can focus. So I don't think so. We maybe see a little bit of sluggishness just because we're literally down to the bare bones now, and these players are going to have to go again in a few days' time. We don't really have the luxury of being able to rest many people. I think it really hinges on getting Ben Davies fit to partner Leon King. I think the criticism of Leon King has been way over the top, personally. I'm sure you guys will agree. It's a bit of a cause and effect type thing. Certainly in midweek, he needs legs in front of him, and he needs fullbacks that are able to cover, and he was getting exposed time and time again. That's not necessarily something to do with him, although he could do better in certain situations, but I think it's just an overall picture thing that we need to be aware of. So for me, I think priority should be getting Davies in next to Lundstrom, Davies in next to King, and having Sands and Lundstrom in front of them, just to kind of create that solid base first of all, and then go and attack. So if we can manage to get that, then I think we should be okay.
Yeah. What about this comment here, Graeme, from Gary Gray? Hi, Gary. I'd give Lowry a punt in at least one of these games coming up. At least squad is looking thin, and you could provide a bit of bounce to the first team. I've got to say, he was one of the positives, I think, on Tuesday night. Just seeing him in a Rangers jersey again. We've all been crying out for him since the tail end of last season. To see him this season, of course, he was plagued with injury, and then that horrendous challenge when he was coming back in the B team game. But hopefully, fingers crossed, he's over his injury problems. Can he play a part in the next 3 games?
Yes, there's no reason why not. He got a wee bit of a lesson in midweek. he tried to find Scott Wright with the pass. Ajax basically stole the ball, went up the pitch, and it was 3-1. But that's the elite level. It'll do him no harm in the long run with that type of exposure. But yes, absolutely, there is a place for Alex Lowry over the next 3 games. He provides something different. He's the same as Leon King. He's far from the finished article, but he does have talent, and he's capable of making an impact now. He maybe has that wee bit that no one else has in the team just now. Wee bit of the maverick style about him, can find the pass. So whilst I don't know, I can't see him starting, certainly not on Sunday, but I would like to see him get game time on the pitch, because at first on Wednesday, Scott Wright, appeared to be post 10 position. So I was kind of thinking, where's Lowry? But he did come on. Great accolade for the lad, getting some Champions League exposure at this stage of his career. But yes, we want to see him. He's a talent. He's our player. Get him in the team when possible, and let him learn.
Yeah, would you go along with that, Adam? I think one thing that's been levelled at Rangers this season is where is it the creativity really, and I think he could be a player that could provide that little bit of spark for Rangers, especially in that final third at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. As long as we're sort of settling down into a structure, if it's Sands and Lundstrom sitting deep, and then it's maybe Tillman ahead of them, Lowry coming in for one of those games or coming off the bench, etc., as Graeme said, just as that kind of direct replacement. If we're looking at throwing in Tillman or Lowry at St Johnstone or St Mirren off the wing or something, I'm not sure I'm really up for that at this stage. I think it needs to be in that number 10, and they are the only 2 number 10s that we have at the minute. So I would certainly be up for him getting some game time off the bench in a couple of those games, and maybe even starting one of them.
Yeah, I totally agree. Kevin Kerr gets in touch. Hi, Kevin. He says, my wee lassie Kendall, say hi, guys. Only 10 months old and loves watching the show in silence. Hi, Kendall. Getting them in young, Kevin. We love that, and glad to have your company on a Friday morning. Wanted to get your point. We'll touch on our possible lineups on Sunday. Now, the press conference takes place this afternoon, folks. All the fallout from that will be on the website and our social media channels, and we'll have a clearer picture of who is available and who isn't. The injury list seems to be growing week on week. But Graeme, in terms of some positions I wanted to talk about, that right wing position that's been problematic for Rangers for years now. It's Fashion Sakala's jersey for the foreseeable future for me. Would you go along with that?
It has to. We know what we'll get with Fashion most of the time, although he is unpredictable. But he has that willingness. He has that burst of pace. And, a bit of the old Ted McMahon, the Tin Man qualities about him. Defenders don't quite know what he's going to do next. But he provides that, which is what we need. We saw it in glimpses. In midweek, we certainly saw it last Saturday against Aberdeen. So as Adam's saying there, we need to, almost find an element of continuity. Just to get over the line over this next week. At this stage, I don't think we should be chopping and changing or overthinking it. Last Saturday, was good. It set the template to an extent. But Sakala has done more than enough over the last 2 games to retain his shirt for Sunday. Maybe the late burst for the penalty in midweek. Maybe Gio will think differently. But no, for me, it has to be Sakala again, wide right.
Yeah, this point, Adam, it's one that I can't really disagree with. Ross Nielsen says we've never really replaced Daniel Candeias. For all he had his faults, Rangers haven't really replaced him down that right-hand side, have they? And would you go along with the line that Sakala deserves a shot, just based on the fact I don't think Rangers have any other options there? Scott Wright's had more than enough chances to show what he can do. I don't think he's grabbed the bull by the horns. Who else have you got out there? Rabbi Matondo, I think this jury's certainly out on him as well. For me, Fashion Sakala at this moment in time is the only player that can play there.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I think since Gio came in this time last year, we've really struggled to find any move back to wingers. We've really struggled to find that winger in Sakala. For me, I think one of the earlier comments, you're never sure what he's going to get, but energy can be a big thing, and pressing defenders that are maybe more prone to making a mistake on the ball, even if your presence is there, even if you've just got that pace that puts the fear into them, then you never know what's going to happen. So absolutely Sakala on the right hand side for me. I'm a big fan, and I think you need to be careful of that when you say you're a big fan, because people just automatically assume that you think he should be in the team all the time. That's absolutely not the case. We know what his pros and cons are. Ideally, we want someone that's maybe of a higher consistent quality, but in this situation we're in right now, it's almost like wartime. You just want someone that's going to get in there and dig for the next 10 days or so and really get going. We haven't seen anywhere near enough from Rabbi Matondo, albeit he hasn't had a run of games. Scott Wright has had runs of games, and we haven't seen anything either. So I think, bearing in mind what we're looking for, or what we think what the fans are looking for is quick wingers, then I think we can discount everyone except those three. And when you get to that point, I think it really needs to be Sakala, certainly for the majority of this next 10 days.
Yeah, Graeme, in terms of the other positions in the team, I think the defence sort of picks itself based on the fact there is no one else available, really. In that midfield, John Lundstram obviously comes back in. Who do you partner him up at McDermott Park?
Lundstram could even be required at the centre half, but Lundstram will come back in. You know, that's a stick on that's guaranteed. We had Glenn Kamara coming back in on midweek for the Champions League game. In terms of what we're looking to do, I would almost like to see possible, given that same lad last Saturday at Ibrox. Although Gio is sometimes reticent, you know, to almost take the handbrake on us, I could come down to maybe Stephen Davis or Scott Arfield next to Lundstram, with Tillman ahead of them. You know, that depending on the situation with Ben Davies. If Davies is available, that would then free for run to the midfield, the same combination as last Saturday. Ross there in the comments wants Kamara back again. I don't know if this is the time to introduce Kamara from the start. You know, he's just back. Sometimes Kamara can take a while to go on games. We simply don't have the time over the next week. We don't have much pace in midfield, as Nigel's saying there. You know, we're badly missing that, you know, dynamic, rangy type of player. You know, it's going to be one of the tried and Derek. It's very much a case of the familiar. So I'd be surprised if we didn't see Davis, Stephen Davis or Scott Arfield in there on Sunday.
Yeah. I wanted to touch on the striker role, Adam, because Antonio Cholak has been the main man for Rangers domestically. I think he's been a terrific acquisition. The downside is Alfredo Morelos looks a shadow of the player he has been at Rangers. I think his miss against Ajax in midweek sort of sums up his season at the moment. Does he recover from this? What do you think the issue is with Morelos? Has he mentally checked out? What's going on?
It's a very complex one. I don't know. I mean, without slaughtering anyone, I'm sure we know there's been various bouts of indiscretion, attitude, disciplinary over the period. So it's really difficult to tell whether it is just that again or not. He certainly, for me, isn't working as hard in the rare moments that he gets on the park. There is a school of thought that he needs to be playing games to get as sharp as he possibly can be, and obviously we're not getting that at the minute because of how Čolak has been playing. Čolak has only scored 1 goal in his last 6 games, so technically he's not doing as great now, although when you've seen against Aberdeen, his link-up play, etc. was really, really good, and he was offering quite a bit there. So I think it's maybe a double-edged sword. We've finally got someone who can at least offer a viable alternative to Morelos, so he's maybe not getting the games if he's not looking as sharp, whereas before we'd maybe just throw him in and he would get up to speed that way and persevere. So I don't know whether it is a checked out thing. I'd be amazed personally if there's a new contract now. We've made the discussion of over and heart and hand before. Would you give Morelos a 4-year contract on whatever it is, 30, 40 grand a year? This version of him right now, how he's been consistently for 3 years now. He's had some high couples of weeks or a couple of months, but consistently, would you? Is that a sound financial investment? Is it just trying to retain the value that you would do it for? So there's a whole big thing there that I'd imagine Ross Wilson, etc. are currently weighing up. And do we actually want this contract? Never mind, are we going to lose Morelos on a free? So very complicated, I think. But overall, for me, I'm not sure there's any debate that all being well, it should be Čolak for all 3 of these games, to be honest.
Yeah, and what's your take on? There was a talk a few weeks ago about playing both Čolak and Morelos. I don't think we're going to see it unless Rangers are chasing a game, and even then, I doubt we're going to see it. Where do you stand on that? Would you like to see it happen?
I would have. I was talking about it maybe 3 months ago as a potential option. However, it would need to be Morelos off that right-hand side. I guess for me, it wouldn't. I don't think it would work if it was just a sort of straight 2 or Morelos playing in the number 10, for example. It would probably need to be Morelos off that right-hand side, but I would prefer the wingers. So I'd prefer Sakala and Kent, I guess, with one of them up top just now, based on how things went against Hearts, St Mirren, Aberdeen. I'd be looking to build on that rather than making any more tactical changes, because Van Bronckhorst has made a lot of them, and consistency, I think, is something that we need. So if we've cracked something there, then I'd probably prefer that overall. But the logic of it, we don't score enough goals, let's get goal scorers in, is absolutely sound. I'm just not sure now is the time to do it. And like you said, I think we've only seen it against Livingston when it was Čolak, Morelos and Roof all got thrown on to try and get the goals. I'm not sure we'll see it from the start. And when asked about it in midweek, Van Bronckhorst was very abrupt in terms of whether we would see it against Ajax, which is fair enough, but I don't think we'll see it from the start in the next few games. Yeah,
Graeme, what's your feelings on Morelos at this moment in time? Can he come back? And I mean, I remember this time last season he was struggling, wasn't he? Gio comes in and he gets a bit of a bounce off him. He plays him more central as opposed to what Gerrard was doing, was bringing them much deeper. How does Morelos improve from the position he's at the moment?
It's a tough one, isn't it? I just that miss in the wickets,
horrific. Yeah,
at this level, it shouldn't be happening. So it's just despondence. We know the player Morelos has been the player. Both of them just aren't firing at present. We don't know the full extent of what's going on in the background, like the club, and certainly in terms of his contract status. That's probably, it will be on 4 at Ibrox. We've seen it with other players. I just hope somehow we get a bunch after the World Cup with the players. January is going to be an intriguing mad month with big question marks over the likes of Morelos and Kent. They're just saying 9-10 players heading out of contract at the end of the season. That's another big issue for the football department under Ross Wilson in terms of where we're at with the squad. I don't know. I can't see magically the Morelos that we all know and love bursting into life over this last week. You know, I would be happy with a couple of goals, certainly a few between him and Cholak to get the business done over the next week. But it's just a case of getting over this line over the next week with the 9 points banked, and then we can take stock.
Yeah, absolutely. Adam, before we wrap up, score prediction on Sunday. I know you're going up to McDermott Park. Lucky you.
For my sins, yep.
It's an early kick-off. Let's hope that Rangers don't have one of those dozy first halves as they've had before historically. How are Rangers going to perform? Are they going to come back down the road with 3 points?
I don't think there's any doubt that we absolutely need to. I'm going to be positive about it. I'm going to think that we're going to get the energy that we got last Saturday. And I'm going to go for, again, depending who plays defence, etc. I'm not too sure how it will work out, but I'm going to go for 3-1 Rangers.
Yeah, I'm happy. I'd bite your hand off for that. What about you, Graeme? Are you back in that? Oh, I think we've lost Graeme there. We can see you, but we can't hear you, Graeme.
He's frozen.
Yeah, he is. He is certainly frozen. Well, you there? I need to put 50 pence in.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, you just pick it up.
I'm just going to go for the. I'm just going to go for the blind faith option and go for 3-0 Rangers.
3-0 Rangers.
Just hope that something clicks on the day. So that'll do. I don't want to face any negativity just now on a Friday morning. So yeah, let's go with that.
Fantastic stuff. Well, we got there in the end, Graeme. So everyone was on tenterhooks about hearing your prediction, but we got it in the end. Thanks to everyone for interacting with the show as ever. Just before we go, Adam, Christmas is coming up. Of course, you've got a fantastic book out when Rangers were blowing teams away not too long ago. The Steven Gerrard's Blueprint. Can you tell us how people can go and get a copy before Santa comes down the chimneys?
Yes, they absolutely can. It has been out for what we're at now, two months or so. Blown away by the reaction. So thank you all for anyone who's listening who has bought one. Really much appreciated. You can get them on heartandhand.co.uk/Gerrard's Blueprint. And as Derek said, I'll get them out same day, pretty much. I've got a big batch here for Christmas, so if you can help me out by shifting those, that'd be very much appreciated.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. Okay, folks, that'll do us there. Thank you to Adam and to Graeme. We'll be back again. Remember, all the build up to the game on Sunday. We'll have Joshua there in Perth for us, so we'll have all the usual pre-match and post-match videos, and then I'll be back again on Monday to reflect on hopefully what is a Rangers victory in the league. So until then, enjoy the rest of your Friday and your weekend.